Welcome back everybody, bit of a different video again today. So we're going to be doing some maintenance. We're going to be taking off my whole drivetrain, so derailleur, crankset, chain, giving all that a really good clean, and then in the next video we're going to be putting it all back on again, but let's jump straight into the cleaning process. First of all, some shots of how gross my derailleur is just now. Yep, there's a lot of gunk in there, look at that. The chainring at the front is just the same, it's just really gunky and gross, and the chain is also looking quite greasy and dirty, so we're going to get that hopefully cleaned up as well. So here are the tools that we'll be needing for today's task. We've got a mallet, we've got some wire snips, we've got a Shimano crankshaft tool, some toothbrushes for fine cleaning, we have a quick link removal tool, we have our trusty set of X tools, Allen keys, and then we have a muck off drivetrain cleaner with some muck off drivetrain cleaning liquid. And with all these tools we should be able to get a nice shiny sparkly drivetrain. If you don't have one of these tools then definitely get one. They're so much easier to use than the zip ties or pliers or anything else, so yeah, highly recommend a set of these. Mine came from Go Outdoors, I think they cost me like $5.99, so yeah, totally worth the investment. The first thing to do is to cycle through your chain until you find a quick link. This is the one we'll be using right here. Once you've got your quick link located, just grab out your quick link pliers and I'll show you how to use them. First of all, you just snip it in like this, squeeze them together, you'll hear a nice satisfying click, and then from there your two halves of chain should just fall apart. It's really important to take these two plates off, put them in somewhere safe so you don't lose them, which I have done a fair few times. I forgot to hit record the first time I did this, but basically you're going to want to take an Allen key, unscrew the retaining wire bolt so that the wire comes out. I'm not going to bother putting it back on to show you, but basically I had to snip off the wire cap just so it fed back through the retaining bolt. Then you can just pull the housing out of the derailleur like this, leave that to the side. Using another Allen key, this is usually a 5mm, you can then just unscrew in here to get the whole derailleur off the bike. Once you've unscrewed that, it'll just fall off like this, and we can have a look at how dirty it is. So if we have a look in the back of my derailleur, we can see that there is a lot of grime, a lot of disgusting mess. So the plan is to get all that cleaned up, get it looking a bit more like it did when it left the factory. First thing we're going to do once we've got the derailleur off the bike is try and remove this back plate so we can take out the jockey wheels and give them a really proper clean. So for my bike it's just a case of putting an Allen key, turning that round, and that will unscrew this end of the back plate. You want to be really careful not to lose these because they're probably hard to get. And then it's just the same for the other end on the other side. Allen key goes in, turn that all the way around like that, and the derailleur falls apart. So once that's apart we can see really how gross this is, and it's pretty disgusting, so we're going to get them cleaned up. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to use some drivetrain cleaner and a toothbrush just to get in all these little jockey wheels inside all the back plate and scrub off all that dirty grime. I'm using some muck off drivetrain cleaner. It comes in this little bottle, it's got a nice little spray lid so you can scoosh it onto the parts. This stuff just makes the dirt fall off, it's pretty impressive. That's one jockey wheel kind of grime free. Gonna give the other one a good scrub. I'll be honest, I can't quite remember which one went where, but I'm sure I'll work it out. And that's the other jockey wheel, fairly polished. So what we're gonna do now is throw these in a bucket of water and rinse off the rest of that grime. Gonna get them in there, give them another brush to get all the excess dirt off. Then once you've got them mostly clean, just get yourself out a rag, towel them off, and then we'll be able to see the difference between the before and after. So that's the after shot. It's so much cleaner, as you can see. There's hardly any dirt or grime left, so that's going to run so much smoother through your derailleur and give you much nicer shifting. So now I'm going to do exactly the same thing with the rest of the derailleur, so I'll just show you a quick before shot and then I'll show you them after when they're nice and clean. So that is the back plate. That is absolutely disgusting. There's dirt and grime all over it. That's the main body of the derailleur, as you can see again, covered in dirt, covered in grime. So let's get that all completely cleaned off. And there you go, my derailleur is nicely cleaned. Look at the difference. You can see that it's actually metal, you can see that this is actually meant to be light grey, but yeah, look at those jockey wheels. So everything should now run so much smoother. First of all, let's magically throw this back together. There we go, all magically put back together derailleur, looking lovely, looking clean. Let's get that straight back on the bike. So obviously all I've done here is just throw the derailleur on the bike. So if you're interested to know how to set these up properly, I'm going to be doing a video on that later in the week. So if you come back to my channel in a few days, there should be a video posted about how to set up Shimano derailleurs properly, especially these new 12-speed ones that can be a little bit confusing. So now we're just going to do a quick removal of this Shimano crankset, show you how to do it, and I'll show you all the tools you need as well. So it is a fairly simple process. All you're going to need is a tool that has some sort of Shimano crankset tool on. They look a bit like this. Some of them come on another tool, some of them come just by themselves. You're going to need your trusty 5mm Allen key. I think this is standard for all Shimano cranksets, but I'm not 100% sure. And usually you will need a mallet, which is key in any good bike mechanics workshop. Okay, so let's get straight into getting these off. So first of all, you're going to take your Shimano bottom bracket tool. There's like a little nut in the end, so you plop that on there, and then with a bit of effort you can wind that out. So that bolt looks a bit like this. I'll just show you the rest of it. It's got that kind of shape at the end, and it's just a nut that holds the crank in place. Next up, you get your 5mm Allen key, and there's just 2 bolts, one on each side of the crank. So you're going to undo those. Mine are loose because I've had to film this twice. When those bolts are loose, this non-drive crank should just fall off like that. So often getting the drive side crank off is a bit more difficult, so you just need a little bit of force. And then once you've mounted out that first bit, it should just slide out the other side like that, and then that cranks off as well, and you can give that a good clean. I know that taking a mallet to your bike might seem a bit daunting, but the bottom brackets are usually quite a tight fit, so when you're hammering out cranks, it's perfectly fine. So all we're going to do now is clean up all this mess from in here. So to get these parts clean, I just wiped them down with some paper towel and gave them a little spray with some Drivetrain cleaner, and then rinsed that off, so that's that bolt nice and shiny. For the crank spindle, I just wiped it off with some paper towel, and I used some Drivetrain cleaner on my chainring to get that clean. However, there's still a lot of gunk in there because I kind of lost patience and I decided I would do it another day. I'm not going to be putting back on the cranks today. I'm going to be doing that in my next video in a few days. But if you're going to go ahead and do it, make sure you grease up this part, the spindle of your crankset properly, so that it runs smoothly inside the bottom bracket. And make sure you give your bottom bracket a good clean first as well, so there's no grease or water left in there. Okay, so next up we're going to be using the muck-off Drivetrain cleaner to get our drivetrain nice and clean. So we're just going to fill that up. I've never read the instructions for this, so I don't actually know how much I need, but let's just go with that much to start with. So I think it's quite straightforward. I think I just take off this top, set that aside, and then this section goes onto the chain like this, and then we put this one on top and clip this end down, and I think that's it. I think that's all you do. And I'm guessing that because the liquid's at this end, we have to pedal the chain through that way, so we pedal it backwards, and that little button seems to release the liquid onto the chain. So let's just try that. Although pedaling this way does seem to work more effectively. Maybe this is the best way to do it, I really don't know. I don't know how effective this is meant to be, but that looks a lot cleaner. Now I've just got a whole load of Drivetrain cleaner on my camera, but that's okay. This looks like it's done a really great job, so I'm going to take this off, wipe it down with a cloth, and see how it looks afterwards. That's lovely. That's a good few months of dirt right there. Okay, I'm genuinely quite impressed. I know it's not completely clean, but with a bit of work, those last bits would definitely come off, and that's a massive improvement. Muck off, you've done a very good job with that. So that is kind of it for today's video. So we've cleaned out the derailleur, we've cleaned out the crankset, and we've cleaned the chain. Hope everybody learned something here, or at least got to see my satisfying bike clean. I didn't get around to doing the cassette because I don't have a proper brush for that. Obviously this isn't perfect and I could spend more time on it and get the rest of that grease and dirt out, but I just thought I'd show you how much cleaning you can get done in 25 minutes to half an hour, and how much better that's going to make your drivetrain run. So if you're interested in setting up and installing a Shimano drivetrain, please subscribe and turn on that notification bell, because sometime in the next week or so I shall be doing a full install of this drivetrain, taking it all off the bike first and then showing you guys how to put it on step by step and setting it up properly. I'm mainly doing this because when I first set up my 12-speed Shimano, I really struggled to find anywhere that said how to do it properly, and I did make a mistake the first time, which meant my derailleur kind of wore out a bit too soon than it should. So I will be doing that in the next video. I hope you guys enjoyed this. See you next time.